What's up, folks? Welcome in. What's up, Laughily? Good to see you. Johnny, good to see you. How you guys doing? I appreciate you guys popping in. Whether you are on X or LinkedIn or YouTube or Rumble or Twitch or wherever you are, I appreciate you guys coming in. Why does every software hardware interaction just get worse and worse? My Bluetooth headset has just started to become a problem after an Intel driver update. Well, guess what? We're gonna get into it. Man, do I have news? I'm gonna be playing catch up on the news. I try and keep them to an hour, but it's gonna be difficult. And I'm gonna talk about that. I've got my coffee. I'm ready to go. I hope you guys are doing well, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Shall we get to some news? Shall we discuss all the ways in which tech is thoroughly borked? News. All right. I'm going to start with, hang on. Let me just do this. So if I do this, and then I do this, and I do that. Okay, now I'm ready to go. All right, we're going to start with something that came out of today's cycles, if you will. So Primeagen went over an article about the state of software and decisions being made in software development and whatnot. It was a good article, and I didn't get to see it all, but Prime generally does a reasonable job covering those things, so I assume that was fine for the most part, because I missed like a good chunk of it. And then Jonathan Blow, Mr. Jonathan Blow, posted on X a kind of like a follow-up because he saw it on Prime's stream today. And man, do I agree with this, with a lot of what was said here, maybe all of it. So, and it's very much in line with the principles that I espouse on my streams here, and the reason why I go on the offensive with these arguments. And it doesn't matter who you are or your authority or pull or whatever. It's the ideas that I want to tangle with, because I think that we're leaving money on the table in this industry, both in web and in software and in hardware. And that's why I do the daily tech news, and I go over academic material, and I build this stupid little game that I'm building. I do all of it in order to make this point that we need to do better. So what did Jay Blow have to say? I read this article about software development, which I knew about because I saw Prime reacting to it, and there's a link there. And you can go read the article. It's a pretty good article. I had a chance to read it before Prime got to it. It was on my list of things to potentially cover, but I encourage you to read it for yourselves. For the most part, I think it is fine. A relatively young programmer is doing the healthy work of introspecting on what he should really be doing. But there's one part of the article that I think is a deep mistake, and the author doesn't know it's so wrong because he has never experienced the alternative. What's up, Lawler? Good to see you, man. Software doesn't stay solved. So now this is a quote from the article. Every solution you write starts to rot the moment it exists. Not now, not later, but eventually libraries deprecate, APIs change, performance regressions creep in, your once perfect tool breaks silently because libfoo.so is now libfoo.so.2.2. I've had scripts silently fail because a website changed its HTML layout. I've had configuration formats break because of upstream version bumps. I've had Docker containers die because of Alpine Linux rotated to mirror URL. In each case, the immediate emotional response was not just inconvenience, but something that more so resembles guilt. And so Jonathan Blow goes back to his own perspective. It's true of much of the programming world, but there's another world in which people do build things that last much longer. I've done it many times. I shipped a binary for this game Braid in 2009. that you can still download and play on Steam 16 years later. If you're pretty young, like 35, ripe old age of 41 over here, you can run binaries on Windows that were compiled before you were even born, which is amazing given how hard they have been trying to F up Windows lately. On an emulator like MAME, you can play arcade games programmed in 1979. If today's software technology is so much better, why does it fall apart like tissue paper? It's the decisions we make by people designing the systems being interacted with. It's due to a lack of knowing better, non-exposure to the sector of programmers who are very concerned with their code lasting a long time, actually. He nails it, but from a different perspective, right? I come at it from the perspective of the people who focus too much on the ship it fast, get it out the door are the ones who are doing a disservice to the industry, who have abstractions and, whatever it is, they necessarily take away from things that we could be doing to solidify things that we're doing in the industry. The way you make code last a long time is you minimize dependencies that are likely to change, and to the extent you must take such dependencies, you minimize the contact surface between your program and those dependencies. And that's exactly what I say when I talk about third-party libraries and abstractions. When you overly depend on these things and you do your NPM installs for every little thing, and you have like an isodd package or whatever, and you don't even realize it, and your vendor's thing is like several hundred, if not more, megabytes in order to get basic stuff out the door, these are dependencies that can change at any moment, and then you're screwed. The actual algorithms you program, the actual functioning machinery you build, is a mathematical object defined by the semantics of your programming language, and mathematical objects are eternal. They will last far longer than your human life. The goal then is to avoid introducing decay into the system. You must build an oasis of peace that is insulated from this constant bombardment of horrible decisions and only hesitantly interface into the outside world. Now, I have just a bit of a disagreement here in that I do think that there are some instances where you do want to reach out to the outside world and you do want to pull something in, but you should be able to value judge when you should do that. And this might be a good prescription for modern day tech because things are so messed up, but I'm not entirely sure that it would be a good prescription for ideal tech world. Unfortunately, we don't live in ideal tech world, right? So I can kind of understand where he's coming from here. And to some degree, I even agree with it, that we have to lean back further away from what we're doing right now, which is fast, pull everything in, don't think about what you're doing, just go. This means, for example, if you're shipping on iOS, you only reluctantly use any function iOS gives you because when you use them, Tim Apple will come along and break your program next year for arbitrary, pointless reasons because Tim Apple does not respect you or anyone you know. This can also be true. It's difficult, though, because this argument can kind of be held all the way down. You could say that about hardware, potentially. Where the hardware today is not the hardware tomorrow, and then you have to rebuild something. Now, this is a much more volatile change in software, so I can still understand the argument, but it's not quite that hard. This definitely carries through, right? So I'm trying to be a little bit fair and objective on this, and take the argument and see where maybe could it not be consistent. This means a program cannot last forever on iOS because things break and change. The core of your program, which could be 95% of the code, is fine. You can deploy it elsewhere. This means you have to insulate from Linux because all of the stupid decisions making that introduces constant incompatibilities while somehow never making the system better. When you start talking about Linux and the changes there, I'm out of my depth, so I am going to have a hard time talking about that. Historically, this feels right to me, but that's just a feeling. I don't have objective data to go into that. So then he talks about dependencies to do things like font rendering, sparse matrix math, and the fact that when you pull it down, you are pulling down someone else's object and importing it into yours, and you introduce all the risks that come with it. And that is true. That's exactly what I've also been saying and what I've been arguing we need to move away from as well. Everyone who got into programming for the joy of it knows at some level that the magic of programs is that they represent complexity that is replicable over time, and thus they exist outside of time. But the trashy programmer culture of the past 20 years, 10 in particular, stopped aspiring to this and now has forgotten it is even possible. And as long as people have forgotten, decisions will continue to be made that make the problem worse. There are programmers who only write glue code and who think that's what programming is. To these people, what I have written above will not make sense, but the good news for that contingent is they can always just stop writing glue code and start doing something else. If today's software technology is so good, why do you think it needs so much glue? Maybe it's a stylistic problem. So if you're looking for what to do in the modern software that can represent lasting contribution, food for thought. Okay. Unholy Diver, good to see you. Okay, you're coming in hot, but still good to see you. Yeah, he says reluctantly. Right, you do have a choice on something. You don't have a choice. Yes, right. That's fair. I think you meant up here when I was talking about you can make the argument for hardware too. Yeah, I hear you laugh. Yeah, you're right. Okay, Unholy Diver, you're coming in hot, so I'm gonna come back at you hot. All right, Unholy Diver. Jay Blow looks at every effing thing like a game programmer. Dude is blinded by that perspective. It's pretty cringe to compare the software industry to a Pokemon game, because those are made to be finished, not worked on over time. It's a dead argument. So I guess Jay Blow isn't a NeoVim user, or he's pretty content with the risks of using it the way most do. It might be a little bit unfair for me to defend someone else's position because I'm not that someone else. However, I would say that it's kind of a straw man to say that he's comparing it to a Pokemon game. He didn't compare it to any specific game at all. And I can understand why you would present the framing like that, because you know that he comes from the gaming industry, and so it's fair to say, well, he must think of it like this because that's where he comes from. I get it. But I didn't actually see him call out a specific game and say that, well, I guess he used his game. How about that, right? Braid in 2009, right? And the game industry also suffers from the exact same principled problems that he talks about, regardless of timeline to completion. And I'm not sure what things would need to continue to be worked on over time and never be completed. I mean, are there things you're thinking of where you just continue to work on them over like a never ending amount of time? Everything has to come to a completion at some point, right? So I guess Jay Blow isn't a NeoVim user, or he's pretty content with the risks of using it the way most do. Use is not the same as creation. He's not talking about use. He's talking about creation. So he can use a thing and then say, but I don't like the ecosystem upon which it is created and whatnot, but I will still use it. These are two kind of like different arguments. So I don't know. Unholy Diver. I'm not sure. I see some of what you're saying. I probably just don't agree with all of it, if that's fair. What's up, Alpha Beta? Good to see you, man. One sec here. Jeez, my mouse just went all weird. Okay, is my mouse back? Yeah, my mouse back. Okay, let me see here. He was talking about using other people's packages. Right, but for creating, right? That's the reference here. So when you're creating a program, that's very different than using a program, right? So I don't know where the NeoVim thing comes from. I'm not sure. The Linux kernel has been very stable. One of the things that will get Linus to lose his crap over is breaking user space. If you talk about the graphics interface around it or in its system, then sure, that stuff has been changing. I have a cursory knowledge of that space, so I'm not equipped to make good arguments there, and I hope to correct that soon, ASAP. But it feels to me like, no, I can't even, I shouldn't really even get into it. I'm not sure. His point about the packages was that if you vendor them, you don't get breaks when they update unless you manually decide to update them. Right. It's kind of along the same lines as what I recommend for making like turning things around in this industry, is that programmers have given their thinking ability over to like vendors and packages without looking at them. At the very, very least, even if you still had npm install and create app command line things that just pulled everything under the sun, that would even be okay with me, as long as programmers were better able to value judge what they were pulling in and why. I would say even that's a better world. So, you know, I think Lafley is on point there. I just can't stand the guy. He talks like everyone's been doing things wrong on every topic. Somehow he thinks he knows better and has the solutions, like he is contributing in some way to solving any of it. Dude, he's either way too much on, or he has serious God complex. Um, okay, you might not like the way he approaches the problem, but does that make his points wrong? Like, can you say that his points are wrong? The character behind that might be wrong, but are his points wrong? And that's why I typically talk about the logical arguments, because unfortunately, Unholy, you're coming at it from a subjective place. You're talking about like the subjectiveness of his character, and that has almost no bearing on the validity of the points themselves. And I would hope that somebody would say that about me. I would want the same measures to be used against me, for example. Right. What's up, Ross? Good to see you. I think I have some news articles for you, Ross, unfortunately. Anyway, just it's really easy to dismiss people because of their character. Um, it's it's really important in life. You're going to do yourself a lot of damage if you dismiss everything someone says because you put them under a bucket of disagreeable character. The good and bad ideas can come from people of all kinds of character and backgrounds. And I mean, Unholy, to be fair, like, you're here talking to me, and I can, I kind of say similar things. And who am I, right? Like, what's my character? I'm definitely not like I have my flaws. I've put people off. I've said stupid things, right? So, in this post, I agree with what he's saying. I don't always agree with Jay Blow. Sure, yeah, that's completely fair. Yeah, completely fair. I already addressed the main points as you read it, but it's not a matter of right and wrong. This is a subjective rant on his end too. Um, yeah, I will admit that there are definitely aspects in here that are subjective. This is his view on what's happening. He doesn't really present a lot of data, for example. There's kind of an implied assumption that you're going to take his word for what this is. I can kind of agree with that. Yeah. Um, it can be easy to make that implied assumption if you feel like you're coming from an authority, right? And he kind of does that by setting it up like, look, I did this thing with Braid in 2009, and you can still play it right now. That is more of an objective piece of data, right? So even if you, I get it, I get it. Let's maybe put it down, because I'm trying to defend a position for someone who I don't really know, right? I've like talked to him once or twice. That's it. Like briefly, like just like a thank you message for like something he's like, who am I to talk on his behalf. How about we put that down? We go like this. That's why I do what I do. So that's why I'm on stream right now. I'm about to go over some news articles. And the reason is because to some degree, I can agree with you on Holy Diver. That a lot of these arguments are based on an implied subjective assumption that you agree with them, or that there's an authority that you agree with, or whatever. I get it. I agree. So hopefully the information I present adds objective data. The studies, the news articles, actually doing it, all that stuff. So that's where I'm coming at it. Outside of that, maybe you'll have to take this up with Jay Blow. But personally speaking, I don't think this is a terrible take. I even agree with pretty much all of it. And the reason why I agree with it is because of doing what I do. It's a flex considering all the crap Windows is doing. I mean, yeah, Windows is doing a lot of crap. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we'll put that one down. I don't want to go too far into it, especially because it's not my thing, right? So like, defending myself is one thing, defending someone else is another. Okay, the next article that I have, let me just skip over, make sure I got it. Yeah. Perfect. After that 2024 Windows fiasco, CrowdStrike has a plan. Job cuts, leaning on AI. Do you guys remember CrowdStrike? Do you remember the CrowdStrike fiasco that basically brought down the entire internet to its knees? And the CEO says, neural net tech flattens our hiring curve, helps us innovate. Perfect. What could go wrong? The Texas antivirus slinger, famous for crashing millions of Windows machines last year, plans to cut 5% of its staff, or about 500 workers, in pursuit of greater efficiencies. In a letter to staff included in a regulatory filing this week, the Big Cheese explained the change as an effort to move faster and operate more efficiently, citing the alleged transformational power of AI. And I mean, I don't really need to say more. You get it. You get what he's saying here. That's all. You understand it. This can't go wrong, right? This can't go wrong. There's nothing that can go wrong with this. It's just one more. How many more bad decisions can a company make? I don't know, but there's that. Johnny, it's nice that he's developed a game for a platform that hasn't had a major change that's broken his game. That doesn't mean that he is solely responsible for that being the case. It means that Windows cares about not breaking interfaces. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point, Johnny. That's yeah. I have to think about that argument a bit more, but it's not all on him. But there is definitely, so okay, if he's making a general argument for generally programmers, then there are programmers in Windows, right? So to counter you, Johnny, while I do think it's a good point, there's still a programmer who was involved in making sure that there are no breaking changes. And if the general idea is programmers should care about what they're doing to the point where they rely less on like third-party things that are, all the stuff that I complain about here, let's say, then yes, you're going to have programmers building Windows code, and they're going to also care in my ideal world, right? So I guess there is still an aspect of it. I do. Most shops were inoperative. Yeah, Ross, yeah. I'm reminded about CrowdStrike every time I watch F1, so I think about them a lot. Yeah. Okay. Let me pull up the next article. There's a few to get through here. I'm going to try and, I know you guys in chat are talking about all kinds of stuff. OpenAI and the FDA are holding talks about using AI in drug evaluation. High-ranking OpenAI employees have met with the FDA multiple times in recent weeks to discuss AI and a project called CDR GPT. I don't know what that is. The Food and Drug Administration has been meeting with OpenAI to discuss the agency's use of AI. According to sources with knowledge of the meetings appear to be part of a broader effort at the FDA to use this technology to speed up the drug approval process. Why does it take over 10 years for a new drug to come to market? Why are we not using AI to modernize this? We've just completed our first AI-assisted scientific review for a product, and that's just the beginning. The remarks followed an annual meeting of the American Hospital Association earlier this week where Makary spoke about AI's potential to aid the approval of new treatments for diabetes and certain types of cancers. How many articles and studies have I gone through on these streams about hallucinations, about typos, about sycophantic feedback loops, about how AI will make up all kinds of crap in order to achieve its goals, which is essentially to give you the answers you're looking for as part of your prompting, and yet we're going to entrust our medical health data? So, I mean, that's sure that there's no way that this can go wrong, right? This is going to be just fine. We're all going to be fine. Take your pills, and off you go into the sunset. This sounds more like the kind of work that LLMs are suited to, sieving data sets before you verify. Yeah. To be fair, even AI would do a better job than nepotistic governments. Well, well, yeah. Analysis of AI tools: 84% breached, 51% facing credential theft. Perfect. AI productivity tools may be silently hemorrhaging company data, with nearly 90% experiencing breaches, according to a new report. AI tools are becoming essential to modern work, blah, 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 blah. You use them. About 75% of workers use AI in the workplace, with AI chatbots being the most common tool. Only 14% of workplaces have official AI policies, contributing to untracked AI use by employees. Now, while a significant number, it's up here. While a significant number of employees use AI tools at work, a large share of this usage remains untracked or unofficial. Estimates show that around 1/3 of AI users keep their usage hidden from management. Personal accounts are used uncontrollably for work tasks. According to Google's 2024 survey of over 1,000 US-based knowledge workers, 93% of Gen Z, aged 22 to 27, use 2 or more AI tools at work. Millennials aren't far behind, with 79% reporting similar usage patterns. These tools are used to draft emails, take meeting notes, and bridge communication gaps. Additionally, a 2025 Elon University survey found that 58% of AI users regularly rely on 2 or more different models, while data from Harmonic indicates that 45.4% of sensitive data prompts are submitted using personal accounts, completely bypassing company monitoring systems. Now, Cybernews researchers analyzed 52 of the most popular AI web tools in February 2025, very recent, ranked by total monthly website visits based on SEMrush traffic data. Using only publicly available information, Business Digital Index uses custom scans, IoT search engines, IP, and domain name reputation databases to assess companies based on online security protocols. The findings paint a concerning picture. Widely used AI platforms and tools show uneven and often poor cybersecurity performance. Researchers found major gaps despite an average cybersecurity score of 85 out of 100. While 33% of platforms earned an A rating, 41% received a D or even an F, revealing a deep divide between the best and worst. What is mostly concerning is the false sense of security many users and businesses have. High average scores don't mean tools are entirely safe. One weak link in the workflow is all that's needed. 84% of AI tools analyzed have suffered data breaches. Even more alarming is that 36% of analyzed tools experienced a breach in just the past 30 days. Alongside breaches, 93% of platforms showed issues with SSL TLS configurations. Misconfigured SSL TLS, nice and easy. System hosting vulnerabilities were another widespread concern, with 91% of platforms exhibiting flaws in their infrastructure management. Like weak cloud configurations, S3 buckets anyone? Outdated server setups that expand attack surface. Password reuse. 44% of companies developing AI tools showed signs of employees' password reuse. In total, 51% of analyzed tools have had corporate credentials stolen, reinforcing the need for stronger password policies. Yes, which is not going to happen. And then here they go. They have a rating, and the rating between A and D is just like, what are we even doing here? Productivity tools show the weakest cybersecurity. Yes. What a surprise. What a surprise. So, what could go wrong? Yeah, SEMrush, you had to block them? Yeah. Our workplace now has regular MS Copilot meetings to teach people how to use it. Yes. Yeah. It's that prevalent. That's right, Laugh. Yeah, they do spam a lot, Ross. I know, man. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Up next. Did it wait? That's not the right one. This one. Yeah. This one. This one's for Ross. There we go. Okay. Healthcare workers are making a worrying amount of security mistakes at work. Healthcare workers are being careless with data. What do you think, Ross? But what do you think, little buddy? It's just for you, Ross. This one's archived, so I think it's from a few days ago. Let's read it a bit, shall we? New research from Netscope has blamed healthcare workers for putting their companies at risk by regularly attempting to upload sensitive and regulated data to unapproved locations, including AI chatbots. The report revealed that 96% of respondents used apps that leverage user data for training. Besides the use of unapproved Gen AI tools, many violations also stem from uploads to personal OneDrive or Google Drive cloud storage accounts. Yeah, that's right, Laughly. They upload patient data to the Jippity. I'm tired, boss. The figures claim 81% of all data privacy violations involved regulated healthcare data such as HIPAA-protected information, while 19% involved passwords, source code, or intellectual property. More than two-thirds of GenAI users in healthcare also admitted to using their personal AI accounts to send sensitive data while at work, potentially alluding to their frustration regarding confusing regulation and delayed processes. I can't even read it. Bros, we're so cooked. Oh, we're so cooked. Oh, we're so done. We're so done. Can't. Okay, so the good news is that there's a move towards having Gen AI applications deployed in healthcare organizations that are more secure. They follow more organizational strategies so that we can avoid things like this. And the bad trends have been going down from 87% to 71%. That is a good trend. I hope we continue to see it. But but um yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's go to the next article. Let's keep going. I got a lot to get through. VC giant Insight Partners confirms investor data stolen in breach. Venture capital firm Insight Partners has confirmed that sensitive data for employees and limited partners was stolen in Jan 2025. They're a prominent global venture capital and private equity firm specializing in high-growth tech, software, and internet companies, managing over $90 billion in regulatory assets. The company has significant investments in more than 800 companies worldwide, including Twitter, HelloFresh, and Veeam Software. So they were informed of a cybersec incident where an unauthorized actor accessed certain IT systems after carrying out a sophisticated social engineering attack. Apparently, it was isolated and there were no disruptions, and they're still looking into it. They're still trying to figure out how exactly they were impacted, but the data that has been exposed varies depending on individual and investor and may include, so this is may, okay? I just want to say that this isn't guaranteed because they're still looking into it. It may include fund information, management company information, portfolio company information, banking information, tax information, personal information of current and former employees, information related to limited partners. You can see how this kind of information from venture capitalists or investors could be ripe for all kinds of nefarious purposes. So whoever got their hands on even just one or two of these items, they're probably going to make some good dollars on this. Yeah. Let's see. We did that one. We did this one. Let's go with... thanks, Ross. Have a good night. I see you on Unholy. Hang on. Lightspeed says, I work for a medical company that loves AI. This was a big concern of ours. We have an instance of AI tooling that is more compliant and segregated from other users. Yes, Little Sparrow. That's kind of what the article was hinting at, is like more of that should happen, right? If you're going to do it, then lock it down and make sure you educate people on proper practices. Don't just let them have at it, especially in healthcare, man. So I'm glad that you see that, Little Sparrow. That's good. Healthcare should hire Jay Blow. He would certainly write an AI solution which never needs to be updated and solves the problem for decades into the future without breaking. Unholy Diver, he would never use AI. The entire premise is wrong, buddy. He would never use AI. That would just be slop. Yeah, as AI pilled as my company is, they're at least super serious about security. That's good, Little Sparrow. I'm glad to hear that. That means there's some hope. There's some hope. And I've said it before because I know you're new. I think you came in yesterday. I've said it before that there are good use cases for AI. They're just very narrow in scope, and I've covered a few of them on this stream. There was one where they were using it to feed it satellite data over Australia, which is not a real country, by the way. It doesn't exist, and and they use the AI to determine possible rare earth mineral deposits, and it was doing a pretty good job. Like that, yeah, that's good, right? So I know that there are good use cases for AI, but take it seriously. Like, be reasonable about it. That's not the current state of how people think of AI. They hype it, or they've joined the cult of AI. Is Australia your favorite European country? Has Australia be fave Euro country? Wow, I botched that. I'm sorry. Let's keep going. Ransomware hackers target a new Windows security flaw to hit businesses. 0-day in Windows common log file system used for hacks. Notorious ransomware actors have been abusing a 0-day vuln in the Windows common log file system to gain sys privileges and deploy malware. The 0-day flaw was discovered and patched as part of the Patch Tuesday, April 2024 cumulative update. The severity score was 7.8 out of 10. They have a CVE tracking. So just be careful and make sure that you are generally up to date. If you're on Windows, if you happen to be. Microsoft was the first among the first to sound the alarm, saying that hackers were using it to target IT and real estate firms in the US, financial orgs in Venezuela, software firms in Spain, and retailers in Saudi Arabia. The bug was also used by a threat actor called RansomX, with 2 X's, who used it to drop the pipe magic backdoor. I don't know what this one is. I should have looked it up, but I don't have enough time to keep up with everything. I'm sorry, folks. And other malware, including an encryptor. However, Symantec also found Play, an infamous ransomware player using the bug to access a US target. And the tools just continue. They talk about other tools. I've heard of PlayCrypt. I don't know exactly what that is. I have no idea that Balloonfly even existed. But I've heard of PlayCrypt, etc., etc. Now, I have an expose. I have an upcoming special. It's an expose. It's an entire tech news stream dedicated to reviewing the known threat actors who deploy ransomware and hack and all of that. And I have an entire separate spreadsheet with just data on that stuff. And we're going to go over that. It's extremely interesting to have some insight into who the players are, because we see all these names come up on these daily tech news streams with all these groups, and half the time I don't know who they are. It's my first time hearing about them. So I thought, well, why not do like an expose? I don't know what else to call it. It sounds so stupid, but it's what I called it. Okay. I also have one coming up on ghost jobs, and I also have one coming up on scam compounds. Yeah. So when I say I spent a lot of time doing this for you guys, I really do mean it. Okay, let's see the next one here. Let me pull it up. Here we go. Do you think that WordPress is just full of security holes? It's just one big messy pile of code and security holes? 10Web aims to take AI website building to the next level with new API. With the API, website developers can build fully fledged WordPress sites by chatting to the bot. What could go wrong? So they're going to have an AI website builder API. It's just exactly like the title says. You just give it a prompt, and then it spins up a WordPress website for you with infrastructure to boot. So you have a bunch of pre-filled layouts, or that will essentially create a fully tailored website. It will create unique page structures, business designs, content, functionality, visuals. Apparently, multiple AI models are leveraged in the engine, including Google Gemini, OpenAI, and Anthropic. Every agent is trained to perform a precise, unique task with a website builder. What could go wrong when you have multiple systems which all have their own high variety of hallucination, typo squatting, slop squatting, all kinds of negative traits that happen at a high rate, and you just take all of them and you put them all together? The only thing that you're really doing is just increasing the rate of failures and security issues. And again, After 45 episodes of daily tech news streams, and I don't know how many episodes of enlightened programming and academic material going over this stuff, there's no way this can go wrong, right? And it doesn't end there. They're going to add e-commerce, which means payments. Yeah, they're going to handle payments as well. Fantastic. Next, a little bit of a different one, not one we usually see. Security researchers develop automated malware removal that works like a vaccine. ECHO automates malware removal from inside its own code. So the title makes it seem like it can remove malware from any code. But what these guys do, there's researchers at Georgia Tech have developed a tool called Echo that turns the tables by using malware's own infrastructure to remove it. So it just looks internally and disables malware from within. A self-spreading remedy for botnets. So removing botnets tends to be manual and tedious. It can take days or even weeks. However, Echo apparently neutralized 523 out of 702 Android malware samples, achieving a 75% success rate. So what they do is they map how the malware deploys code. Then they analyze whether deployment channels can be reused to carry a new benign payload that disables the original infection. Once validated, the remediation code is tested and deployed. The process significantly reduces botnet response time and limits potential damage. The tool is open source on GitHub. So if you guys want to check it out, you can go check this one out. This is interesting. I haven't had a chance to look into it deeply, but yeah. The title makes it sound like it just injects dumbed down versions of malware. It does kind of, yeah, a little bit. I can see that. Hey, Ray on YouTube. Yeah, I have that article pulled up. The amount of medical terminology is a little sus. It is, especially if it was AI. Especially if the FDA and OpenAI agreed on the terminology, then we have a problem here, right? Thank you, Laugh. Laugh dropped the link to Echo on Twitch. I appreciate it. I should have got it. I should have got the link. Let's get through the news first. Naughty. More than a third of IT workers are using unauthorized AI despite risks of shadow tech looming large. Employees stay silent on AI use to avoid being seen as unskilled or replaceable. Bros, we're so cooked. We're so cooked. We're so cooked. It's so over. Oh, God. Ugh. Oh, man. Okay. A report by Avanti claimed the growing use of unauthorized AI tools in workplaces is raising concerns about deepening skill gaps and increasing security risks. Among IT workers, so not healthcare, over a third, 38%, admit to using unauthorized generative AI tools, while nearly half of office workers say some or all of the AI tools they rely on were not provided by their employers. Some companies allow it. 44% of companies have integrated AI across departments, but a large portion of employees are secretly using unauthorized tools. 1 in 3 workers say they conceal their AI usage from management, often citing the secret advantage it provides. Some employees avoid disclosing the use of AI because they don't want to be perceived as incompetent, while 27% reporting AI-fueled imposter syndrome and 30% worried their roles may be replaced. The disconnect is also contributing to anxiety and burnout. Well, alternative title: Employees stay silent on self-reporting as unskilled and replaceable. Yeah, use AI or you'll be left in the dust. Don't use AI or you're unskilled. Yeah, yeah. Now, just in line with that, just a little bit. AI use damages professional reputation, study suggests. New Duke study says workers judge others for AI use and hide its use, fearing stigma. Yep. Yep. On Thursday, the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences published a study showing that employees who use AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini at work face negative judgments about their competence and motivation from colleagues and managers. There are social costs. The Duke team conducted 4 experiments with over 4,400 participants to examine both anticipated and actual evaluations of AI tool users. Their findings, presented in a paper titled Evidence of a Social Evaluation Penalty for Using AI, reveal a consistent pattern of bias against those who receive help from AI. What made this penalty particularly concerning for the researchers was its consistency across demographics. It was not limited to specific groups. And look, lazy, replaceable, not very competent, not very diligent, and then disclosure rates. Super lazy, super replaceable, not competent, not diligent, nobody discloses. So they talk about exactly about the metrics there, and yes, this is the summary. Those in the AI group expected to be judged as lazier, less competent, less diligent, and more replaceable than those using conventional tech. They also reported less willingness to disclose their AI to colleagues and managers. The second experiment confirmed the fears were justified. When evaluating descriptions of employees, participants consistently rated those receiving AI help as lazier, less competent, less diligent, less independent, less self-assured than those receiving similar help from non-AI sources or no help at all. So it's like the people who are afraid are like, yeah, I think that's how I'll be perceived. And then the people who perceive them are like, yes, that's how you're going to be perceived. It's, oh man. So then they talk about like the kinds of assignments that you give to people using AI and yada yada yada, and secret workers and people who use tech to like game the recruitment process and all of that stuff. Ray, what's the best IT career to be irreplaceable by AI? Learn the fundamentals. You're never going to be replaced by AI. It's not going to happen. Not in the way that AI cultists would like you to believe. What's going to happen is people are going to realize the limitations of AI quite quickly. My estimate is about 10 months, and when that happens, there's going to be a demand for people who are competent to step in and fix the issues that were caused by bad AI usages. It could also be that less competent people are more likely to be using AI. It could be, but you can counter that. Not a CM on Twitch. You can counter that with the study showing that the perception of people who didn't use AI or who worked harder had a better perception, right? So it's not that straightforward. If you were actually less competent, then what would happen is everyone would perceive you less competent regardless of whether you used AI or not. But it actually made a difference. Right. So I don't think it's quite that cut and dry. I do think it could be absolutely a contributing factor. Competency can be fixed if you're willing to put in literally any effort. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that exists out in web and software world, and like whether it's like games, websites, desktop software, mobile apps, you name it, pretty much. There's a lot more than people think that could easily be disrupted or overthrown, let's say, by somebody who puts in a good deal of effort, even a minimal amount of effort over what's already been sloppily shipped. The effort level is actually pretty low to do good quality work. The issue would become getting it in front of people's eyeballs, getting attention on it. But yeah, it's doable. It's actually quite doable. Senior engineers have been claiming incompetency of the rest of the company since the Unix epoch. Yeah, let's be real. Most competent developers are just good at faking it. Many devs don't know as much as they appear to know. You just see them working on what they do know. Yeah, in this day and age, I could get behind that. Unholy diver. Yeah, I could see that. And I want to add something to that. I think that there are a lot of programmers who stay in their lane. Like, to kind of summarize what you're saying, they stay in their lane, and maybe they're good at staying in their lane, but they have the intelligence to expand their knowledge and do more very easily. And that's what I'm trying to encourage, because we need more programmers to be willing to go and look outside of their lane. We need that. Right? That's kind of the entire premise of all my streams here. Ray on YouTube says, I have a coworker who I share my table with who uses AI for basically anything. Yesterday, he asked me to use AI to do a simple math problem that takes 1 minute. Some people are out of their mind. Many people are out of their mind. It's not just you, Ray. Yeah, many people are out of their mind. Okay, we're going to switch gears just a little bit. Yeah, ad block, yeah, whatever. If you don't know what Pal World is basically a copy of Pokemon, and Nintendo sued them, and the lawsuit's not over, but what they did have to do is they had to remove Pal gliding, and they also had to remove the way that you spawn your pals or your Pokemon. It used to be that you could glide like with using the eagle. You can kind of see it here. You would just hold on to the eagle's foot and you would glide. And when you wanted to spawn your Pokemon, you do the same, or your pal, you would do the same thing as you do in Pokemon. You throw the ball, it opens up, the thing spawns. They had to do just like a spawning system, like a regular spawning system. You don't throw a ball anymore. So this is still ongoing. It's not over, but there it is. Think what you will of either company. I don't particularly have a dog in this race. I kind of personally do, but it's a personal thing. And yeah. Anyway, this gets dicey, but I kind of wish that there was less. There was more balance. How about that? I wish there was more balance about restrictions on things that you can do and things that you can't do. I can see why, for example, you shouldn't do like a direct ripoff of a Nintendo game and use the same like names for Pokemon and call them Pokemon and all of that stuff. This kind of maybe falls into that. Sure, we'll let the courts decide, right? I can kind of see the argument there. I don't think though that game mechanics should be held back by patents. Game mechanics are that starts to rub me the wrong way. Anyway, that's my personal take. It's and I'm not. I just build a stupid indie video game. So what do I know? But game mechanics in particular stands out to me as something that does not feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right to hold lock it down behind a patent and then make people pay for it because you use the game mechanic. So the other one is riding around on monsters. That's even worse. I mean, yeah. Again, these are just my personal opinions. Okay, take them as they are. Who am I? What do I know? Even, you know what? Even Jay Blow would have better opinions because he than me by comparison than me because he's been building games longer than I have. Okay, so there's just my opinion is just what it is. Okay, let's get into this one. I have a few more on different topics. We'll get to a few more here. Let me make sure we're zoomed in. And sure. Cloudflare CEO, AI is 404ing the business model of the web. So this is an interview back and forth with an interviewer and the Cloudflare CEO, Matthew Prince. And he said that the business model for search has fundamentally changed. What's happened is 10 years ago, for every 2 pages of a website that Google scraped, they would send you 1 visitor. That was the trade. Now it takes 6 pages scraped to get 1 visitor. The drop reflects the rise of zero-click searches, which happen when searchers get answers directly on Google's search page. And the reason why is because AI gives you the answers, right? So you're not getting that response directly from the website itself. You're not getting the source. You're getting it from an AI-generated response, and so the click rates go down. 75% of the queries get answered without you leaving Google. So there's a whole bunch of impact on publishers and SEO aspects, because how do you drive traffic now? Well, you're going to have to embed yourself inside of data training sets, or you're going to have to make deals with the AI companies who are absolutely going to charge you an arm and a leg for getting like the equivalent kind of like SEO as part of their AI systems. So yes, the answers won't lead you to the original source, so the content creator can't derive value, which means that the current model that we've all run on for the last however many years is completely changing. It's being destroyed by the AI search engines. Cloudflare is right in the middle of this problem. It powers 80% of AI companies and 20 to 30% of the web. They're trying to help fix this problem. I'm not entirely sure how you fix it. I don't actually know how you fix it. Unless you just basically rebuild search, but with like a LLM, like a language, like some kind of like semantic language system to do searches on like a search database. So you do the regular Google crawling. I don't know, but it is definitely upsetting the status quo that we've been so used to seeing with the web. We'll go over to this guy. Malicious Pypi package hides rat malware, targets Discord devs since 2022. The malware was spotted on the Pypi index after more than 3 years. Named Discord Pi Debug, the package was masquerading as an error logger utility for devs working on Discord bots and was downloaded over 11,000 times since it was uploaded on March 21st, 2022, even though it has no description or documentation. So it could be used as a backdoor to Discord devs' systems for all kinds of things, including remote code execution capabilities. And again, this actually goes to some of the things that Jay Blow was saying in his post, and the things that I'm saying, which is when you depend on third-party packages and you don't even have a way, you don't even have the ability to judge whether they're worth it or dangerous to pull in, we become overly dependent on that. We rely on that, and then it leads to things like this. And we have very few people who can make value judgments on whether this thing should even exist in the first place. People don't even check. They just install it. That's it. There's no thinking involved. You just do it. That's the problem. And along that line, as if that's not enough, supply chain attack hits NPM package with 45,000 weekly downloads. An NPM package named Rand User Agent has been compromised in a supply chain attack that gives you RAT, remote access Trojan, on the user's system. Although the package has been deprecated, it remains popular, averaging 45,000 downloads weekly. According to researchers at Aikido, threat actors took advantage of its semi-abandoned yet popular status to inject malicious code and unauthorized subsequent releases that are likely to have been downloaded by a significant number of downstream projects. The compromise was detected on May 5th, 2025, and they flagged the version, and then they determined where the code lives, and they demonstrate exactly where the code lives. The last legitimate version was 7 months ago, and it's all hidden under the node modules directory. Who's going to go and check all this stuff? Right? No one's going to go check this. We have become too dependent on these things. So from that perspective, this is one of the biggest problems that we have in this industry. And this is the kind of stuff that neuters programmers' ability to understand what the hell they're doing, why they're importing stuff, what's being imported, is it good, is it bad, is it solving the problem that I want it to solve, etc., etc. And it leads to the slop that we're so accustomed to complaining about. And it doesn't have to be this way. I've got two more. I'm trying to kind of move through them relatively quickly, if I can. Education giant Pearson hit by cyber attack exposing customer data. Pearson is a UK-based education company and one of the world's largest providers of academic publishing, digital learning tools, and standardized assessments. The company works with schools, universities, and individuals in over 70 countries through its print and online services. Man, has the UK been taking hit after hit after hit. Harrods, M&S, Co-op, what was the other one we went over the other day? I can't remember right now. I'm sure Laughley knows, but it's been like almost 3 weeks of just a nonstop onslaught of cybersecurity issues. Pearson confirmed they suffered a cyber attack and data was stolen. It was mostly legacy data, though. So they have forensic experts, yada, 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 taking additional safeguards. Now, the threat actors compromised Pearson's developer environment in Jan 2025 through an exposed GitLab personal access token found in a public.git/config file. This is essentially the same thing as having an S3 bucket with no security. So they take it, and then once you have that, then like the world's your oyster. Right? Now then you can steal. Over the following months, the threat actor reportedly used these credentials to steal terabytes of data from the company's internal network and cloud infrastructure, including AWS, Google Cloud, and other DB services such as Snowflake and Salesforce CRM. The stolen data allegedly contains customer info, financials, support tickets, and source code with millions of people impacted. However, when Bleeping Computer asked Pearson about whether they paid a ransom, what they meant by legacy data, how many customers were impacted, and if customers would be notified, the company responded that they would not be commenting. Last year, Internet Archive was breached after threat actors discovered an exposed Git config file containing an authentication token for the company's GitLab repositories. Secure your Git config, please. Okay, the last set of news for the day. What's up, Piercoin? On Twitch. Good to see you. OpenAI Codex. This was released today. It's a cloud-based software engineering agent that can work on many tasks in parallel, powered by Codex One, available to ChatGPT Pro team and enterprise users today, and plus users soon. You literally plug it into your GitHub repo. It ships off agents and executes work against your GitHub repo directly. It commits changes to its environment. It does task completions, pull requests. It integrates it directly into your local, etc., etc., etc. It is essentially a full-on end-to-end integration of everything that one could possibly want in an AI system, having full, complete, utter access to the entire tool chain that you use to generate your code with. Given all the things we've discussed and gone over on these streams, raise of hands, who's going to use this? Nope, not using that. Washes your dishes, does your taxes only because it wants your financial information. Yeah, I mean, Visa's already a trial running with OpenAI, just handing over your Visa card and letting them automate AI purchases for you. Puts handle all the way down. Yeah. Yep. So there you go. I just wanted to end it there. And this is going to get used by a lot of companies for a lot of different things. And I mean, just in this stream, we went over how insecure a lot of these AI systems are. 86% of them have suffered breaches or are capable of suffering from breaches. In the last month or 3 months, what was it? It was 30+% have already been breached. I don't know, some crazy number like that. Those are the LLM systems that are out there. And we want this thing to be fully integrated into your GitHub. It's going to be integrated into your deploy pipeline. It's going to be integrated into your local development. You're just going to vibe code away in full force, in like 100% full force. Everything is vibe coded. The entire thing. Is this what we want? Are we sure? I don't know. I don't know about this. That's all I'll say. Okay. Let me check and make sure I don't have any other articles. I do not. I think that's it. How soon that playlist? I need to spam it in my school selection form. I think I have a playlist now. I think I've got it. I just got to check it one more time. And make sure you're on Discord. If you're on Discord, then I'll pop in the playlist link in the general chat when it's ready. Thank you, Laugh. Appreciate it. So make sure you're on Discord, and I'll add everyone. I know it's annoying to do add everyone. I try and do it like very sparingly, but when I have that playlist ready, which I'm pretty sure it's ready, I'm pretty sure I have everything there. I just got to check it one more time, and then I'll drop the link. So hopefully like today, tomorrow thing. I apologize that we had to rush through so many articles. I apologize to like Unholy Diver if things got a little bit heated or spicy or whatever. I tried to not, I tried to like engage with the arguments as best as I could. I hope that it didn't come across incorrectly or poorly. I am stupid. I do say stupid things. So, and I get why you're saying what you're saying, Unholy Diver. But I also need to apologize to everybody because I did have to rush through these, and it's not quite the same kind of stream as it normally is here, where we kind of just chill through and have a few laughs and whatnot. And the reason is because I try and keep these down to an hour. I'm already over time because it keeps things nice and consistent, and everybody knows what to expect and all of that. And I also am having a hard time keeping up. It's difficult to keep up with all the news. I have a massive backlog. I have to drill down on all kinds of information. I have reading comprehension issues as a high school dropout. I do this all by myself. Well, not all by myself, honestly. I have people who help me and send me articles and whatnot. If you'd like to send me articles to cover, just DM me. Happy to do it. Put it on my list and review it. But all this stuff takes time, and I have to think about how I'm gonna put it together and put the themes together and come up with jokes and have it a little bit entertaining. Some of the stuff just writes itself, honestly. I mean, I don't barely have to do work on some of this. But hopefully we forgive you. Thanks, Lawler. I appreciate it. I do eat loads of moussaka. Why do I look 10 years younger now than in my profile pic? I don't know. I have good genes. My grandmother looked like she was 40 until she was like 65. No joke. I have good genes, so maybe it's that. I'm going to take it. So, I try and do my best to make it worth your while. There's a few of you who sub, and that's a financial aspect, which I appreciate because it helps to offset a few of the costs. I don't have much work right now. I'm looking for work to fill up the time that I need to fill up and make sure that everything's good at home. So that takes up a lot of my time. Current work takes up a lot of my time. Being a father and a husband takes up a lot of my time. And then doing this takes up a lot of my time. But hopefully you can actually forgive me because I know I'm not perfect and I know I make mistakes and I know this, it's not exactly a home run every time I do the streams, but I'm doing it because I really care. And, I love this industry. I love programming greatly. It's extremely, I don't know, it's a passion of mine, and I know it's a passion for a lot of you out there. And hopefully it gives you guys information so that you can go and make better decisions while you're out there, and you can go and convince other people around you, make logical arguments, not subjective ones, arguments based on data, scientific articles, general articles, back and forth arguments that I have with people here or online, whatever. So thank you for all the support. I really mean that. It's incredible to have all the support. Please continue to support me if you like what I'm doing, if I'm making it worth your while. The best way to support me is to do the algorithm stuff, which I hate. It's really bad for society to have like the YouTube algorithms and all of that, where you have to play like the likes and subscribes and all of that. But it's the only way to allow me to hopefully reach more people like us and persuade them and send the message out to more people, right? And I have an article for the next daily tech news stream, which is Monday, and it is literally on the social contagion. It is a scientific article. It's an older one, but I came across it during another deep dive that I was doing, and on AI stuff, and it's a doozy. It might take up most of the daily tech news stream on Monday. One way or another, you will see me Monday. It was good news coverage with occasional derailment. Yeah, hopefully I did all right. So as long as you guys keep supporting me, I will keep doing this to the best of my ability, imperfect as I am. Who am I kidding? I'm a Giga Chad. Come on. And I hope to sneak in another chill video game stream. I'm not sure exactly when. I have to think about it. Schedule's all over the place, but I appreciate all the support either way. Hopefully I'll get to that soon. I think that's it. I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you everybody for all the support. Have a good weekend. If I don't see you over the weekend, stay safe out there, please. All right, please stay safe out there. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, thank you for being here. Peace. You guys suck so much. You suck so much. You don't blow. You suck. You're reverse blow, all of you. How do you like that, Unholy Diver? Reverse blow. Okay, how do you like that for J Blow? You all suck. Unholy Diver is J Suck, not J Blow, J Suck. You suck so much, you're basically all black holes of suckage. All of you. Every single one of you in stream, 100% of you, full coverage, TDD suckage, 100%.